Let's move on to main topic number 4. And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Dominic F. And Dominic F writes, "Hey, John and Rob. So you probably saw that Dwayne The Rock Johnson came out and publicly endorsed someone for president. I know you refuse to talk politics on your show, but I wanted to know your opinion on if The Rock, being the definitive biggest movie star in the world, should be publicly endorsing anyone, left or right, in a political race. Couldn't this hurt his career and maybe make his movies divisive just because people know who he endorsed or didn't endorse? What do you think?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, I was as surprised as anybody the other day when I turned on my news feed and saw that Dwayne Johnson decided to come out and endorse a political candidate for president. This is something that, despite his stature, as clearly, I mean, it is beyond refute. What you can't discuss or deny is that he is, as you said, he is the de facto biggest movie star in the world. I mean, that's just his position. He is, I'm not saying he is the best actor in the world. He's not a bad actor either. I'm just saying he's not the best actor in the world, but he is, without question, the biggest movie star in the world. There's a reason why he has now gone multiple years in a row as being the top earning box office guy, the top earning salary guy, all that kind of stuff. He is the biggest movie star in the world. And he has traditionally maintained a very, centrist kind of thing. He's not gotten involved. As a movie star, he has decided not to use his platform to get involved. Even when he appeared, Rob, back in 2000 at the Republican National Convention, he made it pretty clear that he's not there to hope, a Republican candidate or a Democratic candidate. He just wants people to vote, right? He was pretty clear. This is the first time he's come out and kind of done this. And he did so rather emphatically. But also, I want to argue in a calculated manner. Let's take a look at what he said here. This is what Dwayne Johnson wrote on his social media. "As a political independent and centrist for many years, I voted for Democrats in the past as well as Republican. In this critical election, I believe Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the best to lead our country, and as my first ever public presidential endorsement, I proudly endorse them for the presidential office of our United States. Progress takes change, humanity, empathy, strength, grit, kindness, and respect. Being kind and respectful to one another will always matter. Now we must all vote." That is coming to us from Dwayne Johnson. All right. The question that comes up here, and what I don't want us to get into is, I refuse to talk politics on this show. Every once in a while, though, there will be a conjunction where we have the world of entertainment is kind of overlapping. Here we have, it's not rare for an actor to take a political stance, whether it's a Oprah or whether it's an Andy Garcia, whether it's a Chris Evans or whether it's a Clint Eastwood. It's not unusual for actors to come out and make their political stances known and endorse people and all that kind of stuff. But we're talking about the world's biggest single movie star, period, who has never decided to get involved. The question becomes, regardless of who he's endorsing, regardless of that, was it a good idea for The Rock, who has a very carefully maintained, delicate brand, Rob, that he has created around himself? Is it a good idea for somebody in that type of position who has spent as many years and as much effort in creating that very carefully put together brand? Is it a good idea for him to come out and endorse somebody one way or the other? I think there's two answers to that question. Let's look on the one hand of, should he? Put his career aside, put the business sense aside. Should he as an individual come out and make a statement? And in this, Rob, I find everybody are massive hypocrites. I don't care if they're leaning to the right or if they're leaning to the left. Everybody's a massive hypocrite. Because, when Clint Eastwood comes out and gives his political statements, then you hear people on the left going, he's a actor and director. He shouldn't be getting involved in this. You got no problem when Oprah does it. Or on the other side, you know, if when an Oprah or some other actor like a Chris Evans comes out, then you get people on the right going, he's an actor. We don't want to hear about actors. You had no problem having Scott Baio speak at the Republican convention. I mean, so everybody's a hypocrite when it comes to this. Everybody is. People only have a problem with celebrities expressing the political opinions when it's an opinion that doesn't line up with theirs. That goes for everybody. I don't care if you're left or right. Y'all know it's true. Everybody only has a problem with it. You don't have a problem with it when the celebrity is endorsing your particular political belief, then it's okay. But as soon as somebody else does it, then that's not okay. And we're all guilty of that. Let's just call it what it is. Everybody's guilty of that. The question is, should a celebrity, somebody like The Rock, have the right to come out and endorse somebody regardless if it's left or right? Should a Clint Eastwood or an Oprah or an Andy Garcia or whatever, should they have that right to come out and do that? And I would say this, just in as much as you as a carpenter or you as an accountant or you as a bus driver or you as whatever profession is you have the right to maybe, and even maybe it's important, to get out and say what your political beliefs are. I don't believe that just because you become famous, that right should be taken away from you. That I, as an accountant, get to say what I think about this political issue, but you as an actor should not be allowed to give your opinion on a political issue. Obviously, there's a difference. Some people have a bigger platform than others, yes, but I don't think that takes away their right to say what they want to say. You know, I like me personally, I had no problem when Clint Eastwood did remember his thing with the empty chair that he did? Remember that? I had no problem that he wanted to do that. I have no problem that The Rock wants to come out and say something. So I have no problem that an individual, whether they're famous, semi-famous, not famous at all, should be free to just come out and express what their political belief is. Even if that means saying who you want to see as president, left or right, doesn't matter. But Rob, it brings up another issue about, okay, that's fine. I think most of us would agree with that sentiment. I think most of us would agree that everybody should have the right to express, you know, even something as basic as who do they want to see as president. I get that, even for the biggest movie star in the world. But was it a smart decision for The Rock to do that? Because one could make an argument that one of the reasons he is universally beloved is specifically because he has taken a very centrist, a very neutral, a very, you know, what's the country? Is it Switzerland? A very Switzerland approach when it comes to politics that he's been very cautious and careful in doing. And in that, I got to be honest with you, I don't know if it was the smartest move. Because, you know, we've seen some of the responses. Like I saw this one response, this one wrote, you know, replied on his saying, "My children are now burning your movies." I'm like, okay, but it does, whether or not you think that's a rational, reasonable response or not, it does raise the issue that this will probably, as the biggest movie star in the world, probably bring some ramifications to it. Now, look, my personal belief is I don't care who a director or actor likes or doesn't like as far as it comes to the political spectrum, right? I don't care if they like the people that Chris Evans likes. I don't care if they're the people that Chuck Norris likes. Doesn't matter to me. I'm still going to watch Chuck Norris and enjoy his movies. I'm still going to watch and love and admire Clint Eastwood movies. I'm still going to watch and admire Chris Evans's work. It doesn't matter to me, but it does matter to some people. And maybe The Rock, as the biggest movie star in the world, might have just compromised his business position a little bit. So, I mean, I don't know. Rob, you take a look at this. Do you think it was the right decision for Dwayne The Rock Johnson to come out and, regardless of who he's endorsing, left or right, to make an endorsement like that?
Well, first of all, we've had Ronald Reagan, who was an actor, become president of the United States, Republican president of the United States. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Republican governor of California. Big economy as far as the world is concerned. So if you look at Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he also, first of all, he's a self-made guy. He's had many different careers performing, whether it was his wrestling career, his movie career. He's now running a huge business. I mean, he's got his family, but he's got all the people that he supports through the work that he does because he knows so many different people. I think somebody like, I mean, this idea, we as Americans from all walks of life are supposed to participate in the political process. Now, what I find strange is, like you just said, he's getting responses where mothers are saying our kids are burning your movies. Well, that seems strange to me because we're all supposed to, whatever you believe, whatever side of the political spectrum you're on, Americans are supposed to participate in the political process. You know, voting is the least thing that you can do. But, you know, people can canvass, they can support their candidates. And if you want to vote whatever side you on, if you want to vote Republican, you want to vote independent, you want to vote Democratic, however you want to vote, you're supposed to be involved in the political process. And the idea that somebody who has a big platform simply because they're an entertainer, and like you pointed out, that, well, a plumber can vote and say what he wants, say an accountant or any other walk of life, they're perfectly allowed to have their own political views. But why shouldn't an actor, and a guy like Dwayne Johnson, he's not just an actor, he is an entrepreneur, and he has a lot of people that he does business with, and he's very successful. He's like the first guy that I would want to weigh in on our political process because he has a very unique perspective. I mean, a lot of people think that, oh, he's just a Hollywood elite and what do they know? But as you know, John, most of the people in Hollywood are self-made. They've been here, the people that are successful for decades busting their ass, and they usually came from somewhere else. They didn't have a leg up. They didn't have anybody really helping them out. So a guy like Dwayne Johnson, he's a self-made dude, and he's navigated very many different waters, and he's been successful. And, you know, he has a family that he has immigrant roots and roots outside of the United States. I think he's the perfect guy to weigh in on our political process. And I think a lot of what he has and what he's done is something we can all benefit from. And listen, if he comes out and says one thing one way or another, of course, in this divisive political age, he's going to piss people off. But on the other hand, I have to respect that he's stepping up and taking a stand. He's not shying away from his responsibility as an American. And, you know, whoever you want to endorse, as long as you're out there and you're involved in the process, I think that's a good thing, no matter what.
Right. I think there's a couple of important things here, too, to note. Number one, just because he has a big platform doesn't mean his political belief is any more important than any of ours.
Nope.
I mean, and by the way, just because The Rock says he's going to vote for somebody and endorsing somebody, regardless of what side it's on, doesn't mean you or I should at all. He's this individual person. I love the way you put it, Rob, who is, as an American, participating in the political process and using his voice. But that doesn't mean anybody's got to listen to it. That doesn't mean I have to, or you have to, or anybody else. I also thought he did something pretty calculated, as The Rock often does. You know, sometimes when you get celebrities who will, and again, we're talking about a different breed here. We're talking about the biggest movie star in the world. But sometimes when you get other celebrities who decide to come out and endorse, they'll often do it from a negative point of view. Like whether it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who I like very much, but, you know, she'll come out and endorse one side by saying really less than complimentary things about the other side, right? Because so in supporting Joe Biden, she said some pretty nasty things about Trump. Chuck Norris, when he was supporting the Republican candidate at the time, he also said a quote I will never forget. And I love Chuck Norris, don't get me wrong, but he also said a quote I'll never forget. If Barack Obama wins this next election, America will be thrust into 1,000 years of darkness. I'll never forget that. But so you get actors on both sides that do that. But The Rock, being as calculated as he is, when you look again at his statements, and that's the wrong quote, that's something we'll talk about next, but when you look at his statements, all he did was just say, hey, I'm endorsing this person. And here's why I'm endorsing this person. And it was never about the other candidate. It was never about, he says, I'm endorsing this candidate, and here's why I like this candidate. But it was never about taking a shot at the other candidate. And I thought that was also very smart and calculated on his behalf. And I wish, left and right, I wish more celebrities who decided to get involved in the political process would maybe take that approach as well. I mean, I don't know, but I thought that was very smart on The Rock's part. What do you think?
I think you're exactly right. And you know, we're so tribal now, and we act like we're on various teams when really we are all Americans. And I think what we want to see,
except me, of course.
Well, yeah, you're not. But we want to see what I want to see, at least, is when it comes to our political leaders, I think that they should embody, or we at least hope they do, the best qualities of what America is supposed to represent. You know, you think back to whether it's FDR, whether it's Kennedy, or like Teddy Roosevelt, or whoever your favorite president, Lincoln. You know, these are people that embody the American soul, essentially. And I think that whoever you want to vote for, like you just said, elevate the political process. You can get involved, and you don't have to drag it back into the muck. You can get involved and elevate the process, and hopefully, by example, get other people to be involved as well. I mean, if nothing else, when a guy like Dwayne Johnson comes out and makes an endorsement, people that only really watch his movies that might not necessarily be interested in politics might suddenly go, well, wait a minute. If The Rock is involved in politics, maybe I should look closer. If he gets more people to register to vote, regardless of who you're going to vote for, getting more people involved in the American political process is always a good thing.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you just raised a great point, because I think one of the good things about the de facto world's biggest movie star coming out saying this is I think this is going to motivate a lot of people to vote on both sides, because I think there might be some people who, you know, are supporting the opposite candidate of The Rock and seeing The Rock coming out and make that message, saying, well, wow, like they're coming out and make their message. It's important then for me to get involved and make sure I register and make sure I vote. And then people who do agree with whoever it is The Rock is endorsing go, wow, The Rock's endorsing. All right, then I should also get involved here and vote. And I think that's one of the good things, is that it's going to motivate more people on either side to sign up, get involved, and make sure they vote. And
100%.
I think that's great. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is about as political as you'll ever hear this show be. But yeah, question is for you guys. What do you think about that? We've got the world's biggest movie star deciding to weigh in. Is it a good idea for? Is it really something he should do? And I decided to make that the topic of today's question of the day. And the question of the day, the way I worded it and put it to you guys, and I just put this up just a little bit ago, just before the show started, I asked you guys simply this. Question of the day. The biggest movie star in the world, Dwayne Johnson, just publicly endorsed one of the presidential candidates despite never really doing so in the past. Obviously, he has a right to do this, but was it a good idea for him to do this? Over 5,200 of you guys have already voted on this. Again, we just put this up about an hour ago. Right now, 71% of you are saying, yes, he should endorse who he believes in. But 29% of you, a little bit more cautious, saying, no, it's best for his brand to stay neutral, at least publicly, at least in the public eye, remain neutral. So it's an interesting kind of mix there. So as of right now, 71% saying, yes, he should endorse who he believes in, regardless of who that is, right or left. 29% of you is like, no, it's best for your brand and your career to publicly stay neutral. That's what you guys are saying. By the way, guys, this poll can be found in the community tab on my YouTube channel. I'm going to leave that up there so you guys can go in there and participate in there. But for you guys watching live right now, question is for you. In the worlds of entertainment and politics, was it a good idea from a fundamental point of view for the world's biggest movie star to weigh in and get involved, regardless of who it was he was endorsing? What do you guys think about that? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.